Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. I just finished another tank on the 100 Battle Challenge. This time I don't even know how to say this, the NC-70 Blyskawica. It's a tier 10 Polish TD. It's got the star-shaped shell, guys. It has the little gimmick of more damage. You can see that. Very heavy rifling in the barrel right there. And the idea of this tank, at least in terms of gameplay, is that the closer it is, the more damage it does. That's a bit problematic. I think it's also kind of a balancing nightmare. It turns out that this game mechanic, and I thought it could be potentially quite overpowered, is actually, based on the way they balanced this tank, mediocre at the end of the day, especially at tier 10. I liked it at tier 9 much better. It seemed to scale better at tier 9, but when you get to the tier 10 tank right here, it's a little bit iffy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. How did I end up? We got 58% win rate with this. And we've got this bug going on, which is driving me crazy. Anytime you hover that, and then it just keeps appearing until you go, whew, drives me crazy. All right, we'll look at the equipment when we get back in there. You can see I had a pretty good crew working on this thing. We've got Gurney is driving it, so they're a 4-skill crew working on their 5th. I was running 30 APCR, 20 also APCR, I believe. Yeah, APCR, won the gold version, won the standard version. 321 penetration with the gold round, 292 with regular. Pretty good. Should be about enough to handle anything. You know, it's not JPZ 100 levels of heat, basically penning nearly anything in the game, but it is enough to work with, and the gun is accurate enough. You should do okay with it. I was 58%. I was dancing with 60% at times. Had a bit of a tough go of it towards the end, but we ended up with 58%. A relatively low 2,423 average DPG. We were 47% battle survives. That's going to help with the win rate quite a bit, even if you've got a relatively low DPG. If your win rate's high, that means you're in the mid to late game and you're making good decisions, helping your teams win. 1.65 damage ratio, 2.42 destruction, 0.43 armor use. Guys, this is, I believe, we'll take a look at it, but I think they advertise it as an assault TD, and the armor just does not hold up to that. We're going to look at the comparison, and I'll talk about what that does to your gameplay, because it's nothing good, to be quite honest. 1.28 destroyed, and we ended up, we came close a couple times, guys, to finishing my 6,500 damage, 5 kills and a win for the with honors that I need to do on one of the missions to get one of my orders back. That was the close one. We had 5 kills. I think it was actually a loss, 6,397. So man, we got close a couple times. I was hoping we would knock it out of the park with this tank, but we didn't get there. Let's go check out the comparison. What I have chosen to compare it to are 2 other assault TDs, the Object 268-4, although this one might be considered a support, to be quite honest, and the 110E3, which is absolutely assault TD. All right, the damage thing, very interesting. It's showing 800, but remember that's within 50 meters is the top damage, I believe is how they break it down. It's very close. And then the damage falls off to where at some point you get to about half the damage. So a 400 alpha, which is extremely painful at tier 10. If you consider the game and the engagement ranges, if you're running a 110E3 or say the 268-4, it doesn't matter what the range is, you're getting your full 650 or 750 alpha. Not so with the Blizz. The Blizz is dropping off the 400, so if you're in a situation where you have some standoff, it's painful. All right, it is absolutely painful. Let's take a look at the gun handling real quick, though, because that is one of the balance factors. It does have a faster reload compared to these other tanks that have very large alphas, so close in, absolutely. You're reloading pretty quickly for an 800 damage gun if you are close. But you got to get there, and you have to be effective, and your armor has to hold up. We'll get that in a minute. -7 gun depression. These are 5 and 8. You can see that its field of regard is horrendous at 5 degrees either side, another balancing factor. You will be fighting this thing's bloom because of hull movement constantly, especially in any kind of maneuvering fight. Aim time is good, and its dispersion is the best of these 3. It's not too far off of the 110E3. So this number looks really fantastic, guys. We are taking a look here at a DPM of 3,654. Unfortunately, that is only for the very closest situation. You can have that if you get out to 300 or 400 meters, whatever the break off is. Painful. Now you're talking what, guys, 1,800? Ooh, ouch, at tier 10. So While these guys are still dropping 650 and 750 at 400 meters, you're down to 400. And again, going to the way the game is played, you're probably going to have some standoff type of engagements. Well, you're almost always going to have some standoff type of engagements, but a lot of maps are set up to where the initial stuff is medium to long range with TDs especially, and then maybe late game. If you can get yourself to late game, then you have a lot of closeout power and a lot of DPM close in. But like I said, your armor has to hold up. You can see how those things are kind of fighting against each other. That it's a weird mix with this tank, and it doesn't work all the time. And so it puts this tank squarely in about the middle of the win rate. I'm looking at it right here, and that's exactly where it lives, right in the middle of the win rate for the tier 10. So it's not horrible, but that mechanic isn't overpowering the thing at all. And here's why. Hull armor of only 200, 260 on the 268 with good angling. The angling's okay on this one. And of course that brutal 305 for the 110 that's just basically made of giant chunks of steel right there. Speed is nice at 45, and it's not zipping around, but it is fast enough to be effective mid to late game, especially for what's called an assault TD. So that's nice. And coming down here to camo, it's not great. It's 7 moving and 12 while sitting, but again, this is an assault TD. So what do we have here? We have a great close-in gun that's decently accurate with enough mobility to kind of get you there, but not enough armor to be super effective. That's a tough one, guys. That's a tough one. If you're forced into a fight where you're mid to long range for whatever reason, based on the situation or the map or both, the enemy tanks, etc., you're going to be plinking away. And I've been in games, shooting 300 meter shots where I'm just like this. Wow, 300, 420, not 300, but 350, 400, 450, that kind of stuff. And if you are shot back at by a 110, he drops 750 hammer down on you if he's able to pen. Plus, you're going to have a hard time penning him because you're definitely going for weak spots on a tank like the 110E3. On this thing, they're just going to shoot for the big flat casemate because 200's okay and the angling's nice, but you dab 2 with some of these other tier 10s and they're going right through that upper casemate at only 200, even with the angling. So I've got an example of gameplay right there. We'll talk a little bit about it. Middle of the road tank. It definitely has upsides close in the mid to late game. Being able to shut down tanks with 800 alpha close in, that means tanks that are usually a 2 or 3 shot to most tanks, not the other tier 10 TDs that are dropping 750, but even some of the heavies up there that are sitting there, you're able to close a guy out at 800 hit points, at 700 hit points. That's pretty awesome. But again, you get to mid to long range. Mid range, you're dropping maybe 400 or 500. There's heavies that do that, and then of course they get to do that at 500 meters as well, and you don't. Let's check out some gameplay. Well, all right, gameplay. We are here on Himmel's Stepsdorf. I was running an IA, a improved vents, an improved rammer, and I had the vents directive going on. For some reason, I switched off at some point of using the food because my other setup is using food. I'm not sure how I managed that, but who knows how many battles I played without running food as opposed to running the large fire extinguisher. I don't know. Spawned into the south. Off we go. What I want to show you here on this one is what happens with this damage drop off to gameplay and how things are going, because I'm going to get over here and RNG/dispersion is going to be absolutely my friend. Dispersion especially is going to be my friend, and I'm going to punish a poor 110E5 multiple times. But I just want you to think about it as we're watching this go down, based on how far the range is and the damage that I'm doing, and then consider, had you been in anything else that had a standard gun that didn't have drop off, maybe the 650 alpha, maybe a 500 alpha, 560 alpha, and God forbid it be the 750 alpha. That being said, most of those things are less accurate. However, let's just check this out and see what happens. We're going to use this bush. I want to be careful here because people sit here and they'll just blind fire. So let's see if we can put a shot on this guy. 415, guys. Yep, I hit him. Took some hit points off of him. Great big old tier 10 TD, but I did 415, fellas. Right? And this map, the way this is set up, this is kind of how you've got to operate in this particular map in this position. So I was always fighting the urge to get forward and get my 800 alpha or higher alpha / not wanting, there's a 455, slash not wanting to get shredded because my armor wasn't good enough. All right, I could have pushed up with the ST2, but I probably do not last long. That 4005, the 110 E4, none of that's going to have any trouble doing damage to me. Probably not even the 110 E5 right there. So I'm going to try to get him in the little bit of a jerk there. I don't quite get to what I wanted. We don't get lit. Playing a dangerous game. The good news is, watch, we're going to hit him here again, I believe. The good news is that the 419, yep, let's just pause this for a second and think about those 3 hits. Now I've got 4 hits in the game, right? 4 hits? Sorry, 3. 750 per hit. Right? Double, almost double, to be honest. And with some high rolls, certainly double what I currently have damage-wise. So like I said, I was always fighting, do I get close and get my damage and really risk the issue with my armor? Or do I hang out a little bit early on, do some fire support, and then hopefully mid to late game I can use my hit points on my armor? And this particular map kind of sets us up for that kind of gameplay. There you go. As he bitched about the armor, the 110E5 actually bounced. I cannot stand this kind of gameplay, fellas. If you're going to come up where someone's clearly using an edge, get the F behind him. All right? Work behind him. You have a turret, by the way. There's zero reason for you to be driving in front of a guy, first of all, that was already there working the system. Here we go. We put another shot on that guy for 415. Now, if you're in a platoon, notice the 4005's got it doped out. Plus, the Type 5 is so much taller than me, he can easily shoot over top of me. Now I've got to go over here. So just stop doing this kind of crap, man. Have enough SA. Understand, how to help your teammates, how to be not a hindrance. There's that decent accuracy, but a 359. I just rolled a 359, guys, in a tier 10 TD that supposedly has, a super damage gun, but because of the game mechanic, that's what I got, a 359. Wow. Little bounce there as he was kind of moving around. All right, he's sort of tired of being shot at me, so they're going to take some blind shots into here. See if we can get another one onto this guy, maybe. Nope. Let's finish him off. He only had 145. You got to like the accuracy. No complaints there. And the way I've got it set up, so not bad at all. Now, this guy's making a run. I think I missed this shot. Yeah. That's unfortunate. The 110E5 bounces again, so I have managed to bounce 2 shots, but those are not aimed, right? He's just shooting in there knowing that people are shooting at him from that position. And now we'll move in and we'll start to use some of my hit points that I have. Looks like we've done well on the other flank. The center, the 110E4 is giving him hell in the middle there. We'll go ahead and push over here, see if we can kill off this Rhinoceronte. Figured I'd get spotted as I crossed right there. This ST2 has done some great work and really hasn't lost that many hit points, to be honest. Just blasts him on the way by. Let's see if we can get this dude hit. He shoots and misses. Very helpful. We get another shot of damage. So that time, guys, we were close enough. We got 709. So notice just that little bit of closure between the two of us is going to increase your alpha significantly. So that's probably a decent high roll, too, at that range. I don't think I was at maximum damage range. Might have been. I think I switched to HE here, but I'm not sure how many hit points he has left when we get there. Clean up on aisle 2, to be honest. I was really hoping I'd get a huge chunk of HE damage out of this guy. So, nope, I didn't do it. I thought I would. Thought I had. 777. Oh, crap. I wanted to ram him, but unfortunately the Mana Core got a sandwich. All right, so this thing's turn, its whole traverse is not great. I'm just going to have to bail out of this and accept that he's going to shoot me in the back. See if I can get up and over and get some help from the ST2. I might even just get a kill on this guy. Looks like I will. Boom, take him down. Somebody else kills the leopard behind me. I could have sat there and spun all day. I'd have never been able to catch up with him because the whole traverse on this thing is not so much. Not so much. Bit of a romple stomp. 4,233, 308 damage. There might actually be some extra damage in there from a blind shot, but I'm not sure. And 2 kills. I wanted to illustrate that damage thing. And, have a think about this tank when you're playing it, where you're going to position it, what you're trying to do with the damage. You can't always you can't always control for that. It's not like you can get into a game and go, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and it's going to maximize my damage because I'm going to be able to get close. You may or may not be able to. I really had no business pushing up initially. Did some good work. Well, did I do good work or did Dispersion do good work? I think Dispersion did some good work for me, allowing me to hit that poor 110 E5's hatch. That must have been driving him absolutely batshit crazy. It would have drove me crazy. But the return for that was 400 damage, 400 alpha shots. And you're going to have to fight through that with this tank, to be honest. This is, with a 750 alpha gun, a much larger damage game, right? There's a lot of what ifs here. Just because I hit all those doesn't mean they were all going to be 750. Maybe they didn't have that many hit points. Maybe the 125 keeps poking if he gets popped for 750 a couple times. That's actually kind of a psychological thing. You know, maybe on one hand, the fact that he's only taken 400 damage shots keeps him in there and exposing himself a little bit more. A couple 750 hits and people are less interested in poking out. So there's a lot going on, but I think at the end of the day, just to beat this dead horse completely to death a fifth or ninth or 72nd time, it's a game mechanic that you're going to have to work around. Just be cognizant of it, and it will frustrate you at times. The payoff, if it's working for you, is pretty good, but I don't find with the way the game is designed that you get there very often. My opinion, that's all I've got. Let me know what you think about this thing. If you've got it, we will see ya.